Hey, and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to continue off from the last one where we were doing the checkpoint tracker event graph. So today we're going to be doing the functions, and hopefully by the end of this video we'll be able to test and make sure that the checkpoint tracker works as intended. And with that said, let's get started. So we're going to start off in the BP tracker. We're going to start with the update times function. You can either double click on it, or at the top you can select it here. Here we're just gonna set the variables that we created, the custom setting variables, the gold, silver, bronze, default best lap, and default best time. We're gonna set it so that whatever we enter here in the custom settings will then update in the player controller, and that will do here. So first we're just going to drag in all the variables. We're going to get the hold control and just drag in each one of them. And then from here, we're going to drag in the as vehicle player controller. And then we are then going to set the matching variables here in the as player controller. Drag off from the as vehicle player controller and then search for set gold time, and then connect the gold time to that, and then add a redirect node. This is just so that the code will look a little bit neater. And then search for the set silver, connect the silver, add another redirect node, search for set bronze, connect the bronze, add another redirect node, search for set default best lap. Just move that over to the side, connect the best lap, add the final redirect node, and then search for set best race time, and then connect the default best time, and then just connect all of these up together. And then that's it. That's the code. That's all we needed to do. Just add another redirect node over here just to make things a little bit neater. And then you compile and save, and then we're gonna head over to the next function, which is the activate checkpoint function. And then from here, from the next checkpoint pin, we're going to drag off and search for the ring, which is the visual representation of the checkpoint. We're going to need that. And then from the same pin again by the next, and then drag off and then search for the trigger. And then from the ring, drag off and search for set hidden in game. And then from the trigger, drag off and search set generate overlap events, and then connect these two. Enable the generate overlap events, but then don't enable the set hidden in game, because we're gonna need it so that once you pass the checkpoint, the ring will be hidden, but then the trigger will still generate overlap events so that the next checkpoint can then be activated. And then that's it for this piece of code. Just add a redirect node, gonna make it a little bit neater, and then just add a comment, say activate next checkpoint. Then we're gonna head over to the next function, which is gonna be the left check function, and just compile and save. And then from at the left check function, we're gonna add a local variable that we're gonna use, which is we're gonna call this one local checkpoint. We're gonna turn this to an integer. And then from there, we're gonna drag in, hold Alt and drag in the local checkpoint. And then we're gonna connect it. We're gonna set it at the beginning already. And then from there, we're gonna drag off from the execution bin and look for the equal sign. Oh, sorry, from the pin, drag off from the pin, not the execution pin, from the pin, and then look for the equals. And then from there, we're going to drag in the total checkpoints, hold Control and drag in the total checkpoints, and then connect that to the bottom part of the equals. And then we're going to hold B and right click to bring up a branch node. And then we're going to connect this to the condition so that the local checkpoint needs to be equal to the total checkpoints in order for the code to work. And then we're gonna drag in the checkpoint, the array checkpoint, and then from there we're gonna drag off and say get a copy. And then we're gonna drag in the local checkpoint again. Just hold Control, drag it in. You can place it over the pin at the bottom and it'll automatically connect it for you. And then from there, just move this to the back. And then we're gonna drag in the function activate next checkpoint. I'm gonna drag this in here. And then we're gonna connect the get to the next checkpoint, and then from the false we're going to drag in and connect it to the activate checkpoint. This is so that the whole purpose of this code is to check whether the player has passed through all the checkpoints, and if you haven't, then to activate the next checkpoint. But that's why it's connected to the false, because this basically says if the local checkpoint is equal to the total checkpoints, then the true function would be end the race, but the false is activate next checkpoint. So if you have a sprint race which only has one lap, then once you've completed as you go through the race, it will constantly go through the false, and activate the next checkpoint until the local checkpoint is equal to the total checkpoint, and then it will flow through the true, which will then complete the race. Drag in the race complete function, put it at the top, and then connect to the true. And then from there, we're gonna drag in the checkpoints again. Just hold Control and then drag in checkpoints. And then we're gonna once again drag off from there and say get a copy. And then we're gonna drag in the activate checkpoint function once again, connect these two up like so. And then we're gonna drag in the player controller and to connect this like so. And then we're gonna drag in the player controller, hold Control and drag in the player controller. And then from the player controller, we're gonna look for the update lap function and then connect that. I forgot to add something from the race complete check. Drag off from the is race complete, drag off and then search for a branch node and then connect these, because it's a boolean, so it needs a condition. And then from the false, connect to the activate checkpoint, and then just drag all of these, just align them. And then from the true, we still needed to then update the lap, so we're going to connect that as well, and then just add a redirect node over the top, make it look like this, and then that's the code. That's the code for the lab check. So from here, if the race is not complete, it will then also activate the next checkpoint. So this is if you have a circuit race, and then it will ask, is the race complete? If the condition is not fulfilled, then to activate the next checkpoint, you should be then in line in the next checkpoint for the second lap. And then if it is complete, then it will bypass the activate checkpoint and then just update the lap. So just add a comment around this, and it says just gonna put it as check laps, and then here at the bottom, for more organizing purposes, just move this down a bit and add a comment around this and say activate next checkpoint. Sweet. And then this one over here, oh sorry, just wanted to drag these, add a comment and say check if race is complete. And then with that, we are done with the code for the lab check. Just compile and save, and then we're gonna head over to the race complete. By the race complete function, we're gonna create a new local variable. Just create a new local variable, call it local complete, and then from here, just gonna drag this over a bit, give us some space to work with. Hold control and then drag in the as player controller, and then from the as player controller, we're gonna drag off and search for actual lap, get actual lap, and then from the as player controller again, we're gonna search for get max laps. Oh, sorry. This should actually be reversed. It should be the other way around. The max lap should be on top and the actual lap at the bottom. Just reverse the two. And then from the max laps, drag off and search for the greater equal to sign, and then connect the actual lap to the bottom, and then hold B, left click, create a branch, connect to the condition, connect the execution pin, and then we're gonna drag in the as player control again, hold control, drag it in, and then from here we're gonna search for set race complete, and then we're gonna search again for the same one, search set race complete, and then we connect the one to the true, and then we connect the other one to the false, and then the one that connects to the true, we're going to enable it to state that the race is indeed complete, and then the false will be no, the race is not complete. And then from here, this is where we need the local variable that we created. Just hold Alt and drag in the local complete, drag it in twice, and then connect it up to each of the set race complete. And then from the execution pins, just add these to the return node, and then we're going to hold control and then drag in the local complete variable again, and then connect it to the isRaceComplete return node pin. So the reason for this is that the pin can only hold one variable, so to speak, because if you connect the top one and then the local gets disconnected, and if you connect the bottom one, then the other one gets disconnected. So we created the local variable, the local complete, so that we can set it to either true or false, and then whichever one it is, depending on whether the conditions have been met over here of the max laps and actual lap, then we just connect that, and then it will signal that the race is or is not complete depending on whether the condition has been fulfilled or not. And then just select everything, add a comment, and then say check whether race is complete or not. that's it for the race complete function. Compile, save. Okay, now with all the checkpoints added, there's quite a few of them, quite a long track. With all the checkpoints added, and make sure that whatever checkpoints you've added are assigned in numerical order as you're supposed to pass through them, and also make sure that the arrow is also pointed in the direction that the vehicle will be traveling. Otherwise, according to the code, even if you pass through the checkpoint, because the direction of the arrow and the direction of the vehicle don't match, the checkpoint won't be cleared. So that's another thing to take note of. And then if you've added a checkpoint and you try and play and you still see the checkpoints, then just open the PP checkpoint and then click on the ring, and then down by rendering in the details panel, enable hidden in game. By default it's not set, so if it looks like this, and then what you will end up with will be, as you can see here, you can still see them off in the distance because by default it's not hidden in game. So just come and check that, say hidden in game, and then just compile and save, and then you say save all, and then you play the level, and then as you can see in the distance the checkpoints are no longer visible. But also the code works because now we passed through the first checkpoint, it has been cleared. We're now going for the second checkpoint, it's also cleared, and then the third one pops up, and then we clear this one, and then the next one then appears. So with that, the code works for the checkpoints, and with that, that's the end of the video. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, please feel free to drop a comment in the comment section, let me know, and until the next video.